Hey, Mark Harper here, and this is Mondays with Mark. I want to talk to you about how to get parents involved in kids ministry. Now, when I first got involved in kids ministry, which was years ago, there usually was just one parent that was working. Most moms were what we would call stay-at-home moms, and they certainly worked hard, and there's certainly an argument that they worked harder than the dads did. But regardless of the point, my point is simply this, that the moms were looking for things to do, and many of them got involved in kids ministry. They helped with VBS, they helped with kids camp. And so we always had this kind of like built-in workforce that were actually looking for things to do, and they wanted to do things with their kids. But the world has changed where most parents or most homes, both parents are working. And so what that means is, many times, is when parents come to church, they're not thinking, hey, I want to get involved with my kids and be engaged with my kids. Most parents, in America anyway, think like this. When I go to church, I want to get a break from my kids. And I've actually had other kids pastors tell me that they don't ask parents to get involved for that reason. They don't ask parents to get involved because they think, hey, parents need a break. And I agree that parents need a break. There's no argument there, but why does church have to be the time that you're taking a break from your kids? Think about the things you're missing out on as a parent. Think about the spiritual experiences of your kids that you're missing out on. What are the most valuable experience in your child's life? And I would say it's their experiences with God. And so, I do a lot of consulting with churches, and many times when I go and observe, one of the first things I do is I'll take a weekend and I'll observe every class. I'll observe small groups, large group, observe what's happening in the lobby, check in and give an evaluation to the lead pastor of the, kind of the health of the kids ministry. And today, many times, I'll see kids programs that have either none or very few parents involved. I'll see nurseries and preschools that are like run 80% by teenagers. And I certainly believe in teenagers getting involved, and I've used kids and teenagers in the ministry, my entire ministry. I've always done that. But I'm certainly not saying don't use teenagers. I'm just simply saying teenagers are still kids, and they need supervision. They need parents involved in what they're doing. And so I'm not going to say it's a crisis, but maybe almost a crisis, the lack of parent involvement we see in kids ministry at our churches. So these are kind of the attitudes that we're working against, the way the culture is. We're kind of going counterculture when we're asking parents to serve in kids ministry, and it used to be the opposite of that. So how do we counter that? Let's talk about things that work and things that don't work. So first I want to talk about what doesn't work at getting parents involved. Number one, bulletin announcements don't work. Number two, pulpit announcements don't work. Having one of the pastors get up and say, hey, we need more people in kids ministry, that almost never works. Begging doesn't work. Getting up there and say, please, if some of you could help us out, we just really appreciate it. Well, that actually pushes people away because people are saying, I don't want to go back there. It doesn't sound like a healthy place to people. And it actually presents from the pulpit a negative view of the kids ministry. So begging is something that one of the first things the Lord said to me is don't ever get up there and beg. Guilt trips don't work. Making people feel guilty for not serving, that doesn't work. You may get the people that respond to that to come, but their heart's not in it, and you really don't want that. And so these are three things that work well in getting parents involved. And let me just say this. This is an aspect of kids ministry that you're going to need to invest a lot of time in. And I would say that perhaps 25, 30% of my time as a kids pastor, I'm putting into recruiting, mentoring, and training my volunteers. And so just know up front that this is, that's, 1.5 days out of my week I'm putting into these kinds of things. So this is incredibly valuable, and it's good information, and it's a good use of your time. And so the first thing is this, and this has always worked better than anything else. Ask parents to get involved one-on-one. Go up to somebody, introduce yourself, and ask them to get involved. Of course, it's easier to ask people that you know. If you're a young parent and you know other parents, you can invite your friends and your family and people like that to serve with you, and that's kind of easy peasy. But you can't run the whole thing with just your small circle of friends, most likely. Go up one-on-one, introduce yourself. Maybe not the first time you talk with them, but my point is simply this. Make it part of your routine, I'd say, every week to at least ask one parent to serve in kids ministry. Now, most of them are going to say no. I find that 7 out of 10 say no, which doesn't seem like great odds, and nobody likes hearing no. I mean, no one likes to feel that rejection. But here's the thing. 100% of the parents that I don't ask are saying no. So if I get a 30% yes, that's actually pretty good. And so people need to be asked one-on-one. Here's one thing that I do. Quite frankly, I will go after the new parents. I don't really go after the people that have been there for years because they're either serving somewhere else already or there's a good chance they just don't want to serve. I go after the new people coming in that are looking for connection. And that's something that I'm offering them. I'm offering them a community to get connected in. And so now I am careful about who serves in kids ministry. We run background checks on everybody, and if I get red flags, I listen to that. So I don't take risks with kids, but I look for strong, healthy families. And quite frankly, I look at the behavior of their kids. And so here's this new family and these new kids, and they're engaged. They raise their hand. They listen well to instruction. When I see well-behaved children, that tells me there's good parents here. And so I'll actually use that. I'll leverage that. I'll go up to them and say, hey, I've noticed, my name's Mark. I'm the kids pastor, and I've noticed that your kids are really engaged. They know the Bible. They respond well to direction. You're the kind of parent that we'd like to have serving in kids ministry. And that's one way. It's just the one-on-one ask. A second thing that I do is that I ask parents to help with special events. Now, here's the thing. Many people are just incredibly busy, especially parents. They're working. Sometimes they're also going to school, getting more education. They're a parent of young children, which, and it feels like they don't have a lot of free time. And so the idea of making any long-term commitment just seems impossible. And so I find that they will respond better to kind of one-time commitments, like, our attendance doubles on Easter, so I need more small group leaders for Easter Sunday. And so I'll do a special request. And one thing that I find that works well is email. And so I'll do a mass email through MailChimp, and of course it has their name on it, but I'll write it in such a way that it feels like a personal email. And I'll just simply say, hey, we need some extra help for Easter Sunday. Would you be willing to help us this one Sunday? I'm just asking for one Sunday. And I get a lot of response. I get a whole lot more from email like that than I do from bulletin announcements or pulpit announcements. So Easter Sunday, the Halloween alternative, which what we started doing was we called it costume weekend. So instead of doing a hallelujah night on Halloween night, we did costume weekend on the weekend before Halloween. So we brought it into the weekends. Other special events, of course, is things like kids camp, vacation Bible school. It's not a one-day event, but it's only a 1 week. And so many times parents will give up a week in the summer. I have parents that actually take off use their PTO to be a counselor at kids camp. And so these are great opportunities to recruit people for these one-time events, but I don't just look at it like they're there for this one-time event. What I endeavor to do is connect with them during that event. Of course, if it's a week-long thing like VBS or camp, I've got more time I can connect with everybody. If it's just a one-day event like Easter, I may not, but I try to connect with every parent face-to-face, one-on-one. I just ask this simple question: was this a good experience for you? And the majority of the time they say yes. Now you can tell when they're just sort of doing lip service to it, and then they're giving you this genuine response like, oh yeah, I didn't realize that you guys actually taught the gospel in here. I loved the kids worshiping Jesus, or whatever it might be. They're saying something, and you go, I kind of feel like at that point, I go, I got them. And what I mean is they're biting the hook. And so what I will do for those people that respond in that kind of way is I wait a couple days, and then I reach out to them again, either by phone or by email, and sometimes by text. Depending on how well I know them. If I don't know them at all, it'll be an email. But if I know them a little bit, I get better responses from texts. Most people today don't like phone calls. And so, anyway, I just say, hey, would you be interested in serving as a small group leader every other week or once a month or whatever it is that I might be looking for? And I get a lot of people that way. I want to tag onto that positive experience right away and endeavor to pull them in. And then the third thing I do that works really well for us, and I would say we get more parents involved through this one event that we do than anything else. And the event is what we call Parent Weekend. It's become a big deal at our church. It's a weekend that I usually do in October. And we advertise it for a couple weeks, and we make a big deal out of it. And it's a weekend where parents are invited to kids' church to attend with their children. And so we just do it once a year, and I really push it heavy with the kids because I'll have all the kids stand up and say, repeat after me. Next weekend is Parent Weekend. This is what you say to your parents. Say, Mom. The kids say, Mom. Dad, will you come to me with Parent Weekend? And then if they ask you, well, what is Parent Weekend? When is it? Steer them to the website. But the best chance I have at getting the parents to come to Parent Weekend is if their kid is bugging them and wants them to come to Parent Weekend. So I kind of use the kids as a little evangelist to get their parents to come to this weekend. And here's what we do. We have a little sign-up sheet. I actually ask them to email me, and then we have done in Planning Center, we've also done a sign-up on Planning Center where they sign up and tell us who else is coming. So those are the two different ways that I do it. But I've got a list of parents that are coming that have signed up, and I got a sign-up table. Now, I always have parents that didn't sign up and go, oh, I forgot about this. Can I still attend? And I always say yes, assuming I know them. If I don't know who they are, or again, I got a red flag, then I don't. Then we give them a name tag, and then we direct them to a green room. The kids go in and kind of play air hockey or foosball. The parents go to a green room where we have some refreshments, and it gives me a time to just talk with them a few minutes before service and get to know them. And that's all I'm doing during that time before church. Once church starts, we have the first row or the first two rows in large group reserved for parents and their children. And so I don't want the parents sitting in the back for Parent Weekend because I find that they check out. They become observers. I want them participating. So I have the parents sitting in the front rows with next to their kids. And then at a certain point during announcement time, we introduce all the parents. And then I'll have some of the kids. If I've got like 10 families there, I don't have time to do that with all of them. But if I've only got 2 or 3, I can. But I'll have 2 or 3 kids bring their parents up and introduce their parents to the rest of the class. And we just make a big deal about the parents being there. We honor them and tell them, thank you for being here and investing in your kids. Then the parents sit through all of large group, through worship, through the preaching, through the altar call. They see every part of large group. Then we dismiss the kids to small group, and I dismiss the parents back to the green room. And so I have about 20 minutes to present the vision for kids ministry. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? Why is it important? And then I ask the parents, I present my ask, simply saying, would you like to get involved in kids ministry? And I do this in a very confident way. I don't beg at all. I just simply say, this is what we're doing. Do you want to be a part of this? Do you want to sign up? And then we hand out these little cards that say yes to our kids, and they X the little box and they write, all I'm collecting is their name, their email, and their phone number. That's all I want. Probably have all of that in Planning Center, but I want to have it on that little card right there in front of me. So I hand out those cards. I find that I'll get anywhere from 20 to 25% of those cards get turned in. But if I've got, say, 30 parents or 40 parents, let's say I've got 40 parents that come on a particular weekend, that's going to be anywhere from 8 to 10 new recruits or potentially new recruits. Now, just because they filled out a card doesn't mean that they actually go through all the hoops and become a volunteer, but I'll at least get half of them. And so if I get 10 that fill out a card, that means I'll get 5 new volunteers, which is a big help. And so sometimes I think one year we got over 20 parent volunteers from Parent Weekend. After COVID, COVID kind of decimated our volunteers, and we ended up getting like 20. Hey, so there you go. 3 ways to recruit parent volunteers. Number 1 is ask them one-on-one, face-to-face. Don't feel any guilt or shame about asking people to serve in kids ministry. It's one thing that God's called you to do. Number 2 is to start by asking them to serve in a one-shot event, a one-day event like Easter Sunday, or a week-long event like VBS. Easier to get people involved in those type of events than to make a 9-month or a 12-month commitment. And the third thing is organize a parent weekend. Do that every year. Promote it well. Get a lot of parents to come out and then share your vision with them, the vision that you have for kids. And I find that people respond to vision. And so use this opportunity, leverage it to draw the people that are called to serve in kids ministry. Thank you for listening today. God bless you. We'll talk to you next Monday.